Okay, well, in 1997, the Bookmill, Montague Mill, had a space open. And I'd driven by this space for years and years and years, and looked at this building, and I always thought to myself, this would make the most incredible studio. So one day I saw the ad in the paper. I was probably the first person to call about it. I think I was the only person to ever come and actually look at the space and talk to the landlord, and that was Al Ross at the time. Yep, and there were some people moving out of the space that I ended up in. They were moving into this larger space. So I shared it with another artist because I couldn't afford it.
A little history?
Sure.
Okay. So I studied art in college and was mainly working in clay for in college. And afterwards, for about 20 years, I was doing work in clay, painting on the clay, and teaching art to children for all those years and raising my family. And then one day I just realized I really just wanted to paint on canvas. I didn't want to, do the firing of the kiln and the glazes and all that. I just wanted to paint really more directly. And I met Louise Minks at a tag sale, and I was sort of praying for a painting teacher because I needed somebody to walk me, to take me by the hand and walk me into how to paint again. I had painted in college, but just, mixing paints and all that. And so that was a real blessing to meet her, and I started taking classes with her.
Some of us have worked together for a really long time. I mean, when I moved to this area, I had painted before a long time ago, but I took a class with Louise and that got me painting again. So she was a real inspiration for me. And then just painting with her and with other artists, and we discovered that we were a group that worked really well together. And this is a dream come true.
And because of the nature of our relationships and our camaraderie, our support for each other, I sort of brought that group here. And in my little gallery, then I would have group shows, and that worked really well. So a couple of times a year, this little group we would kind of rearrange the whole gallery. We would hang their work along with my work. We'd have a grand opening. We did some publicity. We would always do a promotional card. And that was great because those women then began to sell, began to produce more. So it expanded their art life, just the way it had for me.
A lot of work. Yeah.
Was it more work or less work?
Things just kind of magically happened because there were a lot of people who were so enthusiastic about making it happen that, people pulled together pretty quickly. Even the meetings that we were having, I was really skeptical about, it was going to be like, I don't know, dancing in mud. That was just going to be a lot of work. But people are really pulling together to make this work.
Well, I guess it's very similar to what I expected. I mean, I think it's great. It's just coming along great. It's still the very beginning, and I think it's more than any of us had ever hoped. It's doing great.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it made me so happy. There was just this glorious opening in my life and opening in my work. Actually, there's something really profound about moving out of your kitchen into a real studio that affects your work.
Upon retirement, about 3 years ago, I realized that if I were to state a mission that I had in life, it was try to create beauty in the world. Mm-hmm. And I could see that in a lot of different venues. And as much as, propagating my own gardens, and I felt that I wanted to take a different course and use, rather than the right side of the brain, use the left side of the brain. And having had a natural love for color and having been taught a number of crafts from my mother when I was young, I've always had a love for fiber, and I've always been inspired by jewelry that reflects what the geologic strata is in the world.
My work is hugely inspired by my garden and I grow a lot of flowers, and I create a lot of still lifes from my garden, and I paint out in the garden as well.
Then I worked for some artists in New York and I did silk screening on fabrics. I just had the theme all the time of fabric and pattern and that kind of thing. And it wasn't until I moved up here to Western Mass that I actually bought my first sewing machine and learned how to even use the sewing machine and use the fabric collection I had. Over the years I always collected fabric because I always loved fabric. So hence now I make art quilts. So it all kind of came together, and this rounded up.
Well, I mean, my natural surroundings definitely inspire me. And I love painting our animals, past and present. And I love color. I love fantasy, whimsy. I want people to feel, I guess I want people to feel happy but calm when they look at my work.
But to have a place to display my work where people can come, because my studio, I'm not there consistently, and when I'm there I just want to work. So to have a gallery where I can be represented, that the doors will be open consistently was really nice. It was a nice opportunity for me. And it's really nice to have many artists in the room. We try to represent each other as best we can. So it's just really nice to have fresh eyes looking at my work too, because you get comfortable with what you're doing, and you sort of lose the magic that is why you do the artwork.
Right.
And so to have the fresh eyes looking at it, it kind of rekindles the magic for you.
Mm-hmm.
In a group of people that all produce things, I think there is a very strong willingness on the part of each of us to promote one another's work when we are staffing. And that is a very, very good feeling.
And just totally love this area. It's just incredibly beautiful, and very happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great place to raise a family and to paint.
And to paint.
Yeah, well, just that life is more than the 9-to-5 grind, and it's really hard when you're in it to know that. But it's a gift, I think, when people find this area here. It's magical, and Western Mass is great. There's more to life than survival, and it's a great community here.
And as a group then, that group began to think about maybe they could actually expand into this space and have a permanent ongoing gallery. Lots of things had to transpire to make that happen, but that's how we are here today at Sawmill River Arts, and it's very exciting. It's a beautiful space. We all love it. We feel it really, really shows off our work well, and that's so important. You have to feel that where your work is, it's at its best.